Bonjour à tous, je suis Rim, je fais partie de l'équipe Speaker et je vais vous présenter un très bon ami à moi qui est venu du Maroc. Il est étudiant cette fois à l'université Al-Akhawayn à Ifrane et il va vous présenter The Next Really Big Thing. Merci d'accueillir Hazim Azghari.
Thank you. I want to say first that it's really funny for me to be here because not only I look like a pretentious 20-year-old kid who thinks he knows how to change the world, but it's back home in my university, it's finals week, and at this time I'm supposed to be studying for my final exams. But I thought it's always interesting to see what you can learn if you fly away from home 2,000 kilometers on finals week. So here I am. But far from being pretentious, what I want to do today is just share with you my little journey or my little travel on how I changed the way I see innovation, from innovation for the sake of innovation to understanding what changing the word really meant. It was not really what I thought. It's more like creative problem solving and a lot of things. So I wanted to today share with you lessons on what I thought was the next really big thing and how it became the next really not really big thing maybe. So I want to start by telling you about this little story of mine of how I also wanted to be the next big thing a little while ago. So I took those few big names like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and Bill Gates, and I placed those guys on top of my head, and I wanted to become like them. They were my role models kind of thing. But soon enough, after I was participating in these competitions here and there, convinced that I was going to become the next big something, I met some interesting people who really questioned my first assumptions by telling me, okay, so why are you doing this? And I looked at them like a very surprised face, like, what a question. Why are you doing this? How is it that you are changing the word for a better place by doing this? How is it that your role models of yours are really changing the word for a better place? Good question to ask. And in those kind of conversations, you know, when you start looking at that person and you put down your cup of coffee and start arguing back for 1 hour, and the only thing you conclude at the end is that your coffee is too cold to drink? Well, that was the same for me. But I really knew deep inside me that I didn't have the answers to that question. So when I went looking for them inside me, what I found was a really interesting thing. Those big role models of mine weren't really changing humanity. And I thought of it, why? But there was something. There was a common thing between all of them. There was this thing, money and profit. It mattered more than anything else. And this thing, this very first thing, was the thing that created problems. And that was my first lesson, that the profit-driven model is very problematic. And I want to give you two examples of two companies that I thought were innovative, but ended up not being as much clean and ethical. So the first one I'm going to start with is this very famous drink that everyone likes, Coca-Cola. If you go to southern India, people may not like Coca-Cola as much because Coca-Cola is doing some bad things in southern India. It's literally around its facilities. It's sucking up the groundwater from the ground, using it for their processing, and it's dumping its waste into the Romanian water. So not only they suck up the water, like this illustration shows it, but also the water becomes unusable because they dump their waste on it. Another example is our dearly beloved electronics company that I'm actually using a remote here. It's Apple, of course. So Apple, maybe, yeah, I think Apple changed the face of the world, yes. Not necessarily for the better, I think. So, like any electronics company, Apple has an electronics suppliers. Where, do you ask? China, of course. So, Foxconn is one of those electronics suppliers. And Foxconn provides electronics for other companies, but Apple here is, I really mention Apple for the sake of being the biggest one. So, in Foxconn, workers not only work overtime, they pack them in packs of 20 and they sleep in a bedroom that usually fits 3 people only, and there's aluminum dust everywhere. And it's really dangerous. But Apple just keeps ignoring every report that is about hazardous working conditions and whatever. It slows down innovation, they say. So, on May 20th, 2011, things kept going worse until aluminum dust led to an explosion. 4 workers killed, 18 injured. Ask an Apple executive, they say, well, our customers, they want new electronics, amazing new electronics delivered to them each year. What can we do? Ask a worker. He says that Apple never really cared about workers' welfare. It's none of their interest. They only care about two things: lowering the production cost, maximizing the product quality. Clearly, you see here, money is the deal. But I want to say two things that come back first. You may say that it's not necessarily going to happen if you are a big company that you're going to become unethical. And the second thing you may say is that one may stay ethical while being a big company, and you not necessarily have to go through those things and have a bad image. But I want to ask a question. The really first question: why do you get in those businesses in the first place? How are those businesses even changing humanity? Imagine for just a second if we were tomorrow full-time be concerned about solving problems such as poverty. Imagine if we moved the whole smartphone industry tomorrow to start working on word hunger rather than making the fastest rectangle with round corners. Imagine if tomorrow big companies were to start solving word hunger instead of producing the next Hunger Games movie. May give us something in the next 5 years, but come back from that ethereal dream and let's see the word for what it really is. This is some interesting statistics. So 634 apps are downloaded each second from both Android Market and App Store combined, while a child dies from a disease related to hunger each 12 seconds. Quick math in there, do you have like 7,600 applications being downloaded for each child that dies? I want to just ask a question. One doesn't have really to relate to the other or cause the other, but it looks to me like while a child is dying, people are busy downloading interesting stuff. And it looks like this society that these companies are promoting is a society which the highest moral act of is downloading an app. Think again. Is it really what we want? So those previous role models of mine, Apple and Coca-Cola, wouldn't really change in humanity. Worse, they were creating new problems. They were not solving existing problems. And however cliched it sounds to say that money is the root of all evil, I think there's some truth to it when money becomes your only and sole motivation. So clearly, as I was over with that illusion of becoming the next big thing, I started looking around. Who were the people that were really solving the real problems? And I thought problems like word hunger and poverty, it only took a government, tons of money and tons of mobilization to be able to solve those. While it may be true that governments may solve issues such as poverty and hunger, it is wrong to think that people like you and me could do something there. There is a place for innovation and simple people, as I like to call them. So that was my second lesson. I found out that some people out there are really trying to solve the existing problems. And most important problems that you may think of are those. And I want to start with education because it's something which concerns us, all of us, on a really close basis. So education. It seems like a big broken building, so many things to fix, impossible to tackle. But if you want to take just a quick look around you, you may find some interesting problem solvers that you may not recognize at first, but who are doing really a great thing. So I found out about Khan Academy. Quick raise of hands. Who here knows about Khan Academy? Well, quite a few. Okay. So I want to explain. Khan Academy is a website that features a collection of videos, educational videos of maximum 10 minutes, of what is a lecture in either math, art history, physics, astronomy, many other things. And Khan Academy, the way it started, is really interesting. So Salman Khan, the founder of Khan Academy, was a hedge fund analyst, and he used YouTube as a means to tutor his cousins on another place via recording himself like teaching math on a sheet of paper. So it started like this, but the cousins gave him a feedback that they really liked him on video more than on reality. He asked them why. They said, well, we can pause you if we have enough of you. We can if we sleep through the video, then we can watch it again. We can keep it for further reference. Many things that would not usually happen in a classroom. Even if you're absent in a classroom, you cannot really see the professor again. So Khan Academy started this way. He started putting more videos on the internet. People looked at them. And then he just moved from being a hedge fund analyst to working full-time for his non-profit organization called the Khan Academy, which today has 400,000 subscribers and more than 3,600 videos. But more important than the numbers is what Khan Academy allowed us to imagine. It allowed us to imagine a model, what we call the flipped classroom model, in which what used to be the lecture would be assigned as a homework and you would watch it at home and keep it for further reference. And what used to be practice and homework would be done in class. So as the teacher and students can interact, have time to ask personal questions and see what problems they were really facing. And that actually improved performance. And I think 12 schools today are trying to use this model back in California, and it's given crazy results for students in 5th grade who are learning math in a radically different manner. But still here, Khan Academy is a big example maybe on how something small can go bigger. But Khan Academy didn't do much. It just expanded on a concept we all knew about. Video tutorials, quite simple, but very innovative in a sense. Sometimes you sleep through a class, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, but you just sleep. And you go back home and you see a video tutorial, maybe 2 or 3, and you pretty much get the whole thing. And you wonder why teachers can't be as effective, as straightforward, and sometimes just as funny. Good question to ask, but I want to talk now about other problems. Education may seem easy. What about poverty, world hunger, human trafficking, and other problems? May not be one person that may be able to tackle those problems, but maybe not 2, not 3, not 4, maybe 16. And here I talk about MatterNet, which is a project started by a group of 16 students who thought about transportation being a most important thing that leads to human development. So there's a big deal in the world that actually 1 billion people are getting disconnected from the main road network in Africa and Asia due to conditions like natural conditions like flood, heavy rain, etc. Those people can no more get their food, no more get their medicine, etc. So what those guys thought about was this. This is like a quadcopter, something this big, and it flies from point A to point B, and it can transport something from 3 to 5 kilograms. And this actually enabled them to do something about hunger and poverty and medicine and health. So what they did, for example, imagine a person who has to walk 20 kilometers to the hospital, but there's no road. So the person gives a call to the hospital sends off the medicine by this thing, and problem solved. But what they hope to do with this is to create an open, roadless network where people would transfer packages all over the world freely. And this leads you to think, small problems, people solve them, lead them to bigger issues. So when I learned about this, the first thing I started to do is to bug my friends who were talking about problems like poverty, hunger. This is for governments. For us, it's wiser to learn Android programming, mobile web programming, to make the next big app that makes shopping easier, the next big social networks for pet owners or whatever. Problems that clearly don't exist. But after seeing all of this, you ask yourself a natural question. Which problem do I solve? There's some problems you know about, some problems you don't know about. Some problems you think you're qualified for, but quite not really. Some problems that really bug you, some problems that are personal, some problems that are difficult to deal with. And you ask yourself, okay, so which problem do I solve? And I think it really takes up to 2 things. One thing is to start from a problem that exists. And however silly it may sound, this is a problem that does not exist, but it led to Coca-Cola. And not only all you have is water in India, you no more have water in India. You have only Coca-Cola. So starting from a problem that exists is not something easy. You should start from either personal problem, a problem that you see, a problem that you can grasp the consequences of, that you can feel and see. And that takes time. The second thing to take is that you should start from a problem that is easy to solve. And that means starting small and growing big. But not necessarily knowing when you're going, where you're going. You cannot really start tomorrow to say, I want to start a social movement tomorrow. I want to start a revolution. I want to start whatever thing. Sometimes it just takes you to solve a small little problem. Salman Khan, go back, started by tutoring his cousin, used YouTube as a means to solve a problem, ended up solving education and improving it. Those people who started by transporting a package A from package B to a package from place A to point B, started by doing a university project on summer. And now they're doing something related to world hunger and poverty. So think again. You really have to start small and not necessarily know where you're going, but as soon as you solve the first problem, you can see where you're going, and hopefully the problem will lead you to something bigger, and then you can take the lead to solving the next problem. And I want to conclude by using a quote from a dear person of mine. I actually don't know him. He's the developer of Gmail. Okay, someone will think, what is Google doing in this presentation? Actually, I'm kind of misusing the quote. So the guy is saying, developer of Gmail, Paul Buchheit, live in the future, build what's missing. This is the way to innovation. But I want to say, if our future looks like flying cars, touch screens all over the place and everything, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think we may have to make sure that this future doesn't have people starving, doesn't have people being exploited, doesn't have people dying from cold, while other people are enjoying the touchscreen all over and flying in some cars. So, if you want to hope for the future and build what's missing, I think you should build what's missing for a future that has no more poverty, no more exploitation, no more human trafficking, no more slavery, and no more world hunger. And for me, that will be the next really big thing. Thank you.